I didn't
fact
say
that
nothing
you
about your intelligence. I talked
now,
about your audience because you talked about
no,
my
you just
audience earlier
insulted
here.
my
You
intelligence.
talked about my
And
audience
you
right
wanted,
here.
wait a minute, you
Okay,
made
go
your
ahead.
statement.
Okay.
Now I'm
Bitch
making
made.
mine.
Bitch
No,
made.
stop. Stop.
Come on now,
I'm
Dan.
making
Don't
my
do that.
statement.
Don't do that, Dan. Don't do that. Come on
You
now. Come on
attacked
now.
me. I am going
Come
to
on now.
respond. First of all, you're making a very great effort to attack my character and my intelligence and my positions without knowing what any of them are, without knowing anything about me. And that is a classic means of trying to discredit my position because your
That's
position is
amazing,
weak.
as though I haven't
Now,
heard you yap on for
again,
like 10 minutes
I'm
already.
speaking. I allowed you to speak. Allow me to speak. Now,
That's all I said.
it doesn't matter what you say. Stop speaking. I'm speaking.
Go, Mike, talk.
Now, beyond that little tirade, what I was about to try and say is you had made an omission because there is more in context in Kilmar, Abrego, Garcia that needs to be considered. The first thing is that there were 2 immigration judges initially, I believe it was in 2012, that determined that Mr. Garcia was deportable. And they both identified him, along with the police, as a member of MS-13. Then, after being caught, after getting duly processed, he had gone through the process, and he was deportable. He then took the option that was available due to leftist ideology to say, I'm seeking asylum because his criminality, a member of the gang, was the cause of his need to not go back to his home country. But that is not our obligation as the United States. He was sent back to his home country to resolve the issues he has in his home country, and that's fine. And that's where most Americans are on that issue. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Larry.
What I got to come here is to be very forward. The average American doesn't care about any of that. The average American says, this doesn't feel right to me. It feels like this guy's not a criminal as I deem criminals, whatever that is. That's how most Americans think. And therefore, I don't like the fact that he's getting deported. And I see his wife crying on TV, talking about their kids. I don't like that. This guy seems like a nice guy to me. I don't know. Is he really a bad guy? Then they see the knuckle tattoos and go, oh, that's BS. That's not real. That can't be a real thing. People think that. So I actually don't know, to be very full with you, whether this guy's actually a criminal or not. I don't know. And I would bet that most Americans also don't actually know. The question is, what we wanted, and I think most Americans did, maybe Dan would disagree with this, but I think most Americans wanted Holman to go through, pull the people who were criminals and throw them out of the country and leave the working people alone. I think most Americans wanted that. Now, many people on the right don't. Many people on the right want everybody gone. I completely agree. If you're illegal, you got to go. And my point is, and this goes to my point to you, Dan, you're saying you don't like it and therefore it's wrong. I'm saying if you're a Republican, you're kind of getting what you wanted, right? Isn't that a win, right? If say someone who was more left had won and they were, say, putting in Medicare for all as an example, wouldn't guys like Mike say this sucks and it's terrible? But you would say they're doing a great job because they're doing what you wanted them to do because they won the election. So do you see my distinction, Dan?
I think I'm seeing your distinction. And, I'm sorry if it seems like I've been attacking you, Michael. You bring smoke. I got it. Like, I'm from LA. That's how it comes from. But like, I'm not going to I'm not going to hit you on this. All right. Like, I ultimately feel that, you mentioned, healthcare for all. Bernie Sanders just for like the umpteenth time introduced a Medicare for all bill, I think just today or like, yesterday in the Senate because I mean, I'm not going to evoke any sort of opinions here, but the reason why a lot of right-wingers caught a lot of flack when they were saying that what, Luigi Mangione allegedly did to the healthcare CEO, the reason they were saying that was bad, a lot of right-wingers caught flack for that because a lot of American people, whether you're left, right, center, whatever jurisdiction, Larry knows I don't believe in the two-party sort of like bipartisan sort of like thing. I think there's at least 5 parties in American society, much more like Canada. But either way, there are people on every part of the political spectrum who have been hurt by this American healthcare system. I've lived outside the American healthcare system, and I think it fundamentally needs to be changed. And I think that this is not an attack on you, but I think that the standard Republican opinion that the status quo is correct just flies against many far more capitalist countries that we live among and do trade among, like Singapore, and have more universal systems, right?
I'm not saying you're wrong in anything you just said. What I'm saying is that isn't what Trump ran on, though. Trump didn't run on any of that. That wasn't really on the ballot. I mean, people care about it, but that really wasn't on the ballot last year, right? That wasn't his big thing. He was like, whatevs.
So you're correct. I'm sorry, Michael. Larry knows I tend to talk a lot. Any of my fans who know I tend to talk a lot. So I'm gonna try to kind of tone it down here. But I have not been one on my own show, on Larry's show, on any other show to argue as though I am in agreement with what the Democratic Party did. I think the Democratic Party should have had a more open primary 100%. Because I think Kamala 100%. Harris, I have some respect for her. I have a lot of things that I don't like about her. I think she would have gotten mollywopped if the Democrats had a proper primary. It's the same thing where you have Jerry Connolly, I call him geriatric Connolly, had to step down from his position, a position that should have belonged to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but Jerry Connolly was given because he had seniority, and the Democratic Party, from the city level to the state level to the country level, runs on seniority. The Republican Party runs on raw power and corruption. And so these are the two big fires I'm fighting. And of course, I'm more on the third party libertarian, democratic socialist, get out of the system type of side than either the left or the right. But, when to the quick point of is Donald Trump doing what the base wanted? I think that Donald no. I think
I'm saying that's the question. Yes, that's the question is what I meant. Sorry.
Yes. Again, sorry, long-winded Dan here. I really want Michael to talk. But I think that Donald Trump did the classic playbook of promising a lot of grievance politics to his voters to say trans people are the reason why your egg prices are high. Like all these different incorrect thing the people who are picking the fruits and vegetables in the state I live in, California, are the reason that you're not able to get a job because Americans would pick fruits and vegetables in California in the desert sun, right? We have these one last sentence, I promise, right? Okay. I think that Donald Trump, and we're seeing this in Canada, we're seeing this through the rest of the world's opinion, I think that Donald Trump promised a lot of things that were wedge issues, were scapegoat issues that are actually not affected to the people who are actually alive. And when you look at cutting government jobs, when you look at the tariffs, these are things that are actually going to hurt Trump's voters. End of sentence.
Okay, but let me do what Sarah brings up a very point. She says, I think Trump has stayed committed to his campaign promises.
Yes.
But has hit establishment walls in every direction.
Yes.
He's making deals to keep his campaign promises.
Yes.
He has to pay off those deals, right?
Yes.
But is that what the bar is? Honestly, is the bar?
I think it is. Yes. I do. I think that is. I think the idea, Dan, I think that most people would agree with this. That if a candidate says, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, and then they get into office, they should do X, Y, and Z. I mean, whatever that is, right? One of the reasons why I'm so upset with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she's my congressperson, is she has done almost nothing until just recently that she actually said she was going to do. She backed out in almost every case. And I expected her to be more like a Thomas Massie. Again, you may disagree with Thomas Massie, but Massie sticks to his guns no matter what, even when he pisses Trump off. Trump got mad at him the other day, called him out by name, got mad at him, right? But he sticks to his guns. AOC didn't do that. So I do, and again, I think that is the bar, Dan, in my view. If
AOC has, along with Bernie Sanders, grabbed crowds that are unseen in off election years.
So by Democrats.
I need to. No, period. Look at the Utah numbers. Look at the Idaho numbers. Period.
Look at Trump numbers. Look at Trump's numbers. But can I respond?
And Trump's numbers are bitch made. I want you to respond. But I just want to say that, to that, I really want to look into what Larry Sharpe was talking about, because I respect the fact that you're in the district and you understand certain things. But I think there's a lot of cherry picking going on. Where you're like, oh, Trump said he'd do this and he'd do this. When I'm like material conditions, Trump said he would lower prices for certain things. Prices are higher. And like,
Okay.
no, it's not cherry picking. It's what he ran on.
Dan, let Mike talk. Dan, let Mike talk. Mike, go.
Absolutely.
Okay. So one, that was cherry picking. And according to Politico, who did do a review of the top 100 days of Trump's administration, while there are many promises that are still yet to be determined because they're either in action or haven't taken place yet, but that doesn't mean he isn't going to do them. We have seen that there's only 3 promises that he's made that actually seem to be broken. One of them being taking down prices of groceries in the first day, which of course was a political exaggeration. Everyone knew that. That was logical because these things don't move overnight. But yet again, he did make the promise and it did not come true. So everyone
typical cop
that.
out. It's happened a lot with conservatives over the time.
And moving on,